Breakup therapy. How to cope with grief. Everyone who has fallen in love has most likely experienced a painful breakup. According to ongoing research, the feelings associated with losing a relationship, and the love that comes with it, following a difficult separation are similar to the grief experienced when someone close dies. Therapy can play an important role in assisting clients in coping with their grief and the associated extreme emotions. This video looks at how breakup therapy can help clients process the grief associated with failed relationships and introduces tools and techniques to help them along the way. While we usually associate grief with bereavement, it can also accompany unplanned relationship termination and cause similar emotional distress. Indeed, the loss of love, a relationship, or a partner can cause significant emotional pain that may necessitate therapeutic intervention to process. Several factors, physical and psychological, have been linked to breakup distress and the grief process, according to research, including betrayal feelings, feeling of rejection, physical discomfort in the chest or heart, referred to as broken heart syndrome, reduced vagal activity, which regulates bodily functions, immune system dysfunction, physical discomfort. Whatever the cause, the grief process is a very real and natural reaction to any extreme loss, assisting our brains in adjusting to a new, possibly undesirable, reality. Relationship grief and depression. While grief and depression can have similar symptoms, their underlying processes are distinct. Indeed, grief is a reactive reaction to an external event, whereas depression, while difficult to define, is a persistent feeling of negativity or anxiety that may be caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. Depression occurs more frequently in those who are rejected than in those who end the relationship, and it can lead to a slower emotional recovery as well as an increased incidence of anxiety, emotional upset, and irritability. Grief after breakups. 5 stages and cycles. Bereavement after a breakup. Grief is a painful process or journey that each of us will most likely go through more than once in our lives. While terms and descriptions differ across the literature, the typical path is as follows. Denial. It can be difficult to accept that a relationship has ended. Clients may understand logically that the breakup has occurred, but they refuse to believe it or hope that they can still work it out. While denial can be a powerful coping mechanism at first, it can eventually prevent an individual from progressing and moving on. Anger. Feeling angry at an ex-partner, or even at life, is common and, whether deserved or not, is part of the grieving process while adjusting to the new normal. A client's rage may even be directed at themselves, as they are frustrated and irritated by what they did or did not do while the couple was together. Bargaining. Whether realistic or not, the client may seek ways to salvage what has already ended, such as appealing to a higher power, changing how they treat their partner, attempting to persuade them that the situation has changed, and even threatening them. Depression. Clients may experience feelings of hopelessness, lack of sleep, and resort to binge eating or excessive alcohol consumption. They are most likely at their lowest point and may require assistance in recognizing the possibility of a new life at the end of this dark tunnel. Acceptance. The client begins to confront what has occurred in their new situation. While they may still be experiencing strong and difficult emotions, such as regret, they accept their new reality and begin to move on with their lives. Each stage usually passes and moves on to the next with time and possibly with the help of others in the client's life or a therapist. Individuals may, however, regress, returning to earlier stages of grief several times. How to provide grief counseling and therapy. The American Psychological Association, APA, defines grief counseling as the provision of advice, information, and psychological support to help individuals whose ability to function has been impaired by someone's death. Nonetheless, as previously stated, grief can result from relationship disruption and is frequently associated with feelings of loss, loneliness, and failure. Whatever the cause, the client's feelings of grief and heartbreak are very real, and clients will benefit from therapeutic support as well as learning coping mechanisms to manage painful emotions. Grief counseling and therapy should allow clients, whether their partner is deceased or separated from them, to discuss the loss of their relationship, partner, and love. To be able to express their anger, sadness, regret, loneliness, and fear, they must form a strong therapeutic alliance based on trust and a lack of judgment. Work through any associated trauma so that the client can continue to grieve and move forward. Be supportively listened to about their current and future concerns. To manage panic and feelings of overwhelm, the therapist may suggest self-care, grounding, and calming techniques. Recognize that this is a time of vulnerability as well as opportunity, and become more aware and accepting of how they feel. To rely on their strengths, perhaps revisiting successful examples of resilience encountered prior to meeting their partner. Supporting clients with anxiety and guilt. While discussing the events that led to the breakup is likely to benefit the client, it is critical to find ways to work through feelings of anxiety and guilt and to introduce supportive coping mechanisms. Partners frequently feel regret for their actions and inability to save the relationship, as well as fear for what the future holds. The therapist will employ a variety of techniques, such as goal setting, to manage the emotional present and provide a refocused yet intentional view of the future in accordance with the client's goals and values. 5 methods and healthy coping mechanisms. Healthy coping strategies. Coping strategies can take many forms, so working with clients to understand their needs and develop their skills is critical. Learn not to fight their emotions. Emotional distress and difficult feelings are unpleasant and should not be ignored or suppressed. The therapist assists clients in identifying their feelings, both positive and negative, explaining that these are normal, even healthy, and should be fully experienced. Discuss your emotions. Talking through feelings with supportive friends, family, and a therapist can lead to new insights and understandings, assisting clients in coming to terms with the broken relationship and preparing them for a future one. If you are uncomfortable sharing your thoughts verbally, it can be beneficial to start by writing them down in a journal or notebook. Accept that loss is an unavoidable part of life. Dating is not an easy task. Help the client understand that it is sometimes necessary to let go of relationships that are unhealthy or not taking each partner where they want to go, allowing both parties to find the life and relationship they desire. Try not to make the loss personal. When things go wrong, we always find someone to blame, either ourselves or others. Help the client see that self-blame can last a long time and is ultimately unhelpful. Instead, admitting that the relationship was not working and that each person's needs were most likely not being met. Getting back into a routine. Following a breakup, life can appear chaotic at first. Work with the client to create a routine that brings some peace to their lives, such as planning waking up, working, caring for children, cooking, eating, and even cleaning. Each technique has its own time and place. The client will only proceed when he or she is ready, with the support of the breakup therapist as needed. 6 tips for clients coping with breakup grief. While the client may not be ready to hear words of advice from the therapist at first, they may remember you when you share the following suggestions. For the time being, avoid dating anyone. While well-meaning friends may encourage a person to resume dating, take time to grieve and adjust to life's changes. Self-care is essential. Recognize that, for the time being, the emphasis must be on personal needs, and, if applicable, children's needs. Rather than being selfish, this is required to ensure personal well-being and to allow time and space for healing. Concentrate on personal development. Change can be a chance to re-evaluate your life, figure out what's missing, and build a more value-driven, meaningful life. Remember the things you used to enjoy. It is possible to lose sight of what makes a person happy in a relationship. Reintroduce yourself to activities that used to bring you joy and other positive emotions, such as awe, curiosity, and spiritual awakening. Allow others to assist you. This is the time to keep those who can be trusted close by. Allow them to be there for you, to help you regain your self-esteem and confidence. Seek professional assistance. Seek professional help for your psychological and physical well-being if you haven't already. Restoring trust in people and relationships. After a relationship has ended, it is easy to judge others, especially those of the same sex as, or who resemble, an ex-partner, as having the same flaws or being untrustworthy. Request that the client make a list of people who have treated them well in the past, particularly those who have similar characteristics to their ex-partner, age, sex, or interests. Encourage them to reconnect with some of these contacts, not to form new romantic relationships, but to recognize that there are people who can be relied on. Map the impact of loss. Other relationships may be affected by a breakup. Ask your client to draw relationships in their life that include their ex-partner on paper with a pencil. Consider each one, for example, family, friends, and coworkers, and consider how they will change, if at all. Working through the relationship map will help the client understand and accept the changes in their life, as well as what they can do in the future to manage them more effectively. Taking lessons from the past. Breakups involve some degree of loss. While this may be positive at times, there are likely to be some negatives. Inquire of the client about the lessons they have learned from their mistakes and the losses they have suffered. How might they apply what they've learned in the future? Breakups can be excruciatingly painful, eliciting a range of negative emotions, including grief. Moving forward necessitates the individual working through and processing their grief. This grieving process differs from bereavement in that the individual is aware that the other person is still alive and well, which may be exacerbated by their visibility, and apparent continuation of their life, on social media. Furthermore, the client's inability to see the best and worst aspects of the recently ended relationship can lead to a jumble of feelings, emotions, and a mix of guilt, anger, and grief. This is where breakup therapy can come in handy. After all, while heartbreaking, breakups are sometimes unavoidable. It is possible to end a relationship, come to terms with what has happened, and gain a healthy perspective on those involved with the help of others. Breakup therapy assists clients in gaining clarity about what went wrong and what went right in their relationship, as well as greater emotional awareness and the ability to let go of the past. After all, relationships can end for the right reasons. While it may be difficult to accept, therapy can assist clients in focusing on a new, bold, and exciting future.